Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Just wanted to cover down today on the Truth or Danger, Doug. We're going to talk about the oil situation, the cascading effect. I'm going to show you a brief interview I did with John. He is a trucker and basically a independent trucker, and they're basically going to be the first ones that get hit the hardest when the trucking industry, when the prices start going back up. Talking to a whole bunch of truckers, and I talked to probably about 10, maybe 11 of them. And even guys that are working with different industries said that basically the independent truckers would be the first ones hit because they are owner operators. They're like a small business. And it goes for even small businesses, even in the restaurant industry, and they even see that. So basically, I'm going to jump right into it. So we're going to cut to that interview, and we're going to get that off and going. Hey guys, how's it going, man? It's Danger. I'm out here. I'm talking to John. He's a trucker. You know, we're out here at a Love's truck stop in Florida. And one of the things we've been talking about is, you know, the lack of DEF fuel. That's definitely needed by most trucks, especially the later trucks out there, especially these semis, these 18-wheelers, to get stuff across the United States, and it's needed to run. You know, you were telling me, John, that you know, you've gone to a lot of places and it's actually out.
Yeah, it's actually out of DEF for me. You know, it sucks because when you get there and you need your DEF and you can't get none, now you got to try to get on there to see who has it and call around, and then it's just making it difficult for us, big time difficult.
Wow. Have you heard anything about some of these other companies that are actually, some of the small companies trying to cannibalize parts? I've been hearing a lot about that. Like they're actually, because they can't keep some of the trucks on the road because of lack of parts coming from China. Have you heard anything about that?
Big time. I think that's across the variety. Truckers, like it's actually hitting everybody in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But truckers is gonna take us longer because most of us can't fix it on the side of the road, so we have to take it to a shop, which means now we got downtime on top of bills. We're not making no money, so it kind of it's a trickling effect. But I think it's hitting us more. It's hitting us big time more.
Wow. Yeah. So, what do you see in the future right now? Like, supposedly prices are going down, but we're not seeing a lot of oil going into like California or coming in to the ports. What do you think would happen? Obviously, you know, a lot of people are raising the alarms, you know, within the industry, especially the trucking industry and the food industry, because all the prices are going up.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think is going to happen if we have you know, a lack of DEF fuel, and all of a sudden, I mean, it's basically going to lead to price increases? But what's going to happen to your industry? I mean, a lot of jobs are going to be lost. Guys,
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of trucks parked. A lot of companies ain't going to be able to run. It's going to be a lot of downsizing, which is going to cause a lot of bad for the families. You know what I mean? And that's not good at all. Because you think about it, we're pretty much the heart behind everything. Everything you get in your household pretty much comes from us. So if we can't get it to you, then you can't have it.
Wow. I appreciate it, John, man.
Yes,
and you were talking about the brokers for a lot of the independent guys.
Yes.
Can you explain how that works? Because a lot of people don't know about the brokers.
Okay. When it comes to brokerage, there are the middleman that comes to it. So basically, they're negotiating the load. If they can't negotiate a load, then therefore the driver's not going to take the load because it's going to cost us more money to do a load, which means they're not going to make no money. So therefore, we all going to be out of it. You know what I mean? Which is going to drive the loads down because you got some that's used to making the money, or some that's trying to get home will have to take a lesser load, which in turn is going to cause the load boys to load all across the board, which the ones that's been making it ain't going to be able to make it. It's going to drive a lot of people out of business.
Yeah, so basically, you can't get a load, or you got to take a load that costs a lot less, and it's not even covering your cost of your fuel.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
I appreciate it, John,
Oh,
man.
you're
I know you're on a time crunch, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, you take care.
Yes, sir. You too now.
Be safe on the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So you can see, talking to John, he's basically breaking down the whole industry and what's going to happen, how if they can't get food, they can't get fuel out there, basically, you know, they're kind of like, you know, the American worker, but they're the ones that are actually getting the parts and the food and the fuel to where it needs to go, right? And we're going to be in a complete collapse if that happens, and it just seems to be building up to the perfect storm. If you look at Sri Lanka and some of the other countries, a lot of the policies, you know, setting up a green agenda one of the things people need to understand is there was never, the infrastructure for what they're trying to do has never been completely put in place. So to all of a sudden take the whole world population and you're going to try to push a green agenda, what's happening is there's nothing to replace it. Now, you look at the food industry, they're wanting to move from more of a less carbon footprint to more 3D printed and insect-based proteins. And that in and of itself is probably going to cause some heartache. And I'm not going to say the R word because we've already seen what happened with that, with the R word in Sri Lanka, right? So as we move forward, one of the things that just hit the news and really is a big thing is the 5 million barrels of oil. You know, you think about what we were just talking about with John and what is happening now. 5 million barrels of oil were released. They're going to 3 countries: Netherlands, Italy, and China. So when you look at China, the situation with that is they have 90% of our manufacturing base, 90% of our products, even all the way up to pharmaceuticals, right? Not just manufactured goods like engine parts or the TVs that you like to buy, right? There's the need to have, then there's the want to have. And what we're seeing is across all industries, they control pretty much everything. So in a sense, it makes sense that we would supply them with oil to get stuff to us so they can also ship it to us. That is a good thing, but then at the same time, it's causing a lot of pain here in America. And it's causing all prices to go up. It's basic economics. If you've taken economics in high school, well, I don't know about nowadays if they have it, but if you've taken basic economics or you understand supply and demand, you'll understand obviously the fuel prices going up, and then you're going to break down and it, you know, if the fuel prices go up, food prices go up because they have to compensate for the money that's going into to ship it to the market. And that's why a lot of people are always telling you, go to your local farmers market, go to the local butcher shops and try to get stuff there. That's your best solution. Get to know the local butcher, get to know the local farmer. Now, let's talk about the Netherlands. The Netherlands needs that oil because with what they're trying to do, so Germany used to have and supply quite a bit of power everywhere. They had 6 nuclear power plants. Out of those 6 nuclear power plants, 3 of them are actually being shut down. All right, that's what they have left. Those 6, 3 are being shut down. I lived in Germany in the 90s for 3 years. It was probably some of the cleanest power, and what I mean by that is there was never any power outages that I remember, and we used to have, you know, very severe winters. Here in the United States, you know, we've had power hits because of all the construction in different places. There's always some type of power hit, you know, whether it's a storm, whether someone ran into a pole, you know, there's always something. And the way their power grid is designed, it's mainly underground. They did not have the solutions in place within the country with as far as oil and coal because they got rid of it because of climate change. And that's how the government approached it. So because they're approaching it because of climate change, they were getting their oil from Russia. They wanted to shut down because they said nuclear power is dirty. Well, since NATO is now stacked up on the border of Ukraine and they sent a lot of forces into Poland, which borders Russia, Russia has been turning off the pipeline or limiting the amount of gas that goes in. So here's some things you need to think about with that. One, if Russia is going to shut off the gas, but now we're all supplying Germany, Netherlands, and oil's going into Trieste, Italy, to get oil into the southern part of Europe, where does that leave us? It leaves us because we haven't opened the Keystone pipeline into releasing our strategic reserves. So these 5 million barrels aren't coming to you. They're going overseas to support, number one, Europe, who piss poor planning, right? piss poor planning leads to piss poor performance. That's just usually how it works. And then, of course, China with our manufacturing base. Now, when you want to get back to that, the reason I touch on that is, there's been a lot of saber rattling, sorry about that, with China. And the big thing people need to understand is they want to go into Taiwan. They've made it known for decades. And if they were to stockpile, there was rumors and some news organizations, I'm a little tongue-tied this morning, need to get something to eat. But anyway, if they were stockpiling food and then other organizations came out and said no, they weren't stockpiling food, but they came out and reports were saying they had 1.5 years worth of food. Now, if they were to stockpile oil and maybe a confrontation breaks out over Taiwan, where's that leave the United States when we're releasing our strategic reserve? That's not a good thing. So, these are things people need to look at. I'm going to show you, here's a graphic right now. This is all the oil traffic leaving Houston, and it's going to Europe. And you can notice all the traffic that's going across Europe and all of it that's flooding out. When it's flooding out, it's going in 3 different directions. Or I should say 2 directions, and it splits off when it gets to the Atlantic. It goes into the Mediterranean and then hits Italy. Then it's going to hit Netherlands as it passes up in the English Channel, and it's heading up into Europe. The third area where it's going to China as it goes down, cross through the Panama Canal, and then they're heading over to China. That's most of the traffic that's coming in. There's not a lot, or most of the traffic that's going out to those countries. Traffic coming in, not as much. There are some tankers coming in from the Middle East, but not as much. So these are things when you look at these graphics. So here's a graphic. If you were to look at China, this graphic right here shows you China. If you look at the amount of oil tankers that are trying to get docked into and offload, it's amazing. You want to see these graphics, go to maritime.com, just sign up for an account, and you can actually look around and you can basically filter it out and see where these are at. Anyway, just wanted to cover down on some of these things. And, we're at a situation right now where people need to understand there's a coming storm, and you need to start growing your own food. You need to be prepared. I've said it before, you need to have your beans, bullets, and bandages. And the reason I say that is because most people don't understand that if you can grow your own food, because when the stores start emptying out and certain things are not being made, there's going to be a big panic. And a lot of people are starting to wake up, and you don't want to be caught short. So beans, bullets, and bandages. Beans is your food and water. Make sure you have enough food and water and a way to purify water if need be in case of emergency. Number 2, you want to make sure you have bullets. And when I say bullets, I'm not talking, basically that covers anything for self-defense and to protect your home and your family. All right, I'm not condoning any type of violence. We're not going to do that here. The other thing is bandages. You need to have enough medical supplies on hand, whether that's emergency medical supplies and then the standard things like prescriptions and things of that nature that are going to help sustain you and your family in the event there's an emergency. You don't want to be caught in a situation where you have to go to hospital if things get sketchy. We have hurricane season coming up, for example, in the United States. Tornadoes during the summer and in the early, different parts of the year in the Midwest. You don't want to have to go to a hospital if you don't have to, or at least have some type of stuff to where you had to go to hospital that you can help mitigate injuries before you have to, obviously transport someone there. You want to be able to save someone's life, especially if it's someone in your family. So please do those things. Sign up for the newsletter at the website. I'm going to be putting out a weekly recap of what's been going on in the week. Our news cycle is basically almost on a 15-minute, every 15 minutes something seems to change. So anyways, you guys, sign up for the newsletter. That's anchorstrategiesllc.com. You can go there, and I'm going to be, like I said, putting out the newsletter once a week and help support channel. Anyways, you guys take care and stay safe and keep your head on a swivel. All right, man. You guys take care.